Support for today's show comes from Top Resumes. Top Resumes is a site that will redo your resume, they'll redo your LinkedIn profile, get you great results, and they'll do it at a very fair price. Use the link in the show notes. They will treat you very well. And we'll be back in just one moment. PBS Job Search Advice Radio, episode 2237. I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome. Thursday, I thought I would bring out a show from the archives, and this is one that deals with the advantages of a large LinkedIn network. I also cover some points related to having a small network and why it can be an advantage as well. Hope you enjoy the show. Hope you have a great day, and we'll be back in just one moment. Support for today's show comes from EdUreka. EdUreka is a service where, for those of you who work in technology, you already know you've got to keep your skills up to speed or else you're going to be washed out at some time. So I'll simply say EdUreka makes it inexpensive and effective for you to learn what you need to learn in order to stay current in your field or to learn skills in order to transfer to something completely different. Follow the link in the show notes. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. And we'll be back in just one moment. In a small network, you have the opportunity to develop close ties with people who already know you. So basically, right off the bat, these are people who will do more for you than the broad network. Now, this is terrific because they're very likely to go out and help you, go the extra mile, do more stuff for you as part of your networking efforts. And since statistically, networking fills about, again, there are conflicting numbers about this, 70% of all positions. And within those 70% of those are filled by people who you didn't know at the beginning of the search. Getting your network to act on your behalf is a huge part of the job search strategy. So by having people close to you who know you already, you can work those connections to try to find introductions to organizations and people who might be trying to hire or might be able to help you. And that is terrific. It's really what ultimately the networking strategy is all about. The however is, unfortunately, so many organizations are going to be outside of your network connection. So you don't really have deep penetration to be able to get in contact with firms. So I'm going to give examples. Let's say you live in New York or in, I'm just going to pick a town arbitrarily, Tulsa, Oklahoma. And you're trying to get introduced to a major employer in your town. Now, if your network consists of 50 or 100 people, in New York, it's unlikely that you're going to be able to find an entree into that organization. And in Tulsa, which is another good-sized city, you may be able to get an entree into the organization, but it may be at the wrong point of that organization. So, for example, I'm going to use IT as an example. You may be trying to get an introduction for an IT position, but you may know someone in accounting who doesn't really know the IT people, doesn't really have those people in their network. So the game plan becomes, what do? Ultimately, what you want to do is find that introduction, find that way to penetrate into the organization. And that's really where the broader network comes into play. So basically, with a broader network, because LinkedIn lets you get up to 3 levels of connection, building a massive network is pretty easy. But how to get them to act for you is often a little bit more complicated. So I always encourage people to work their close network and at the same time do things to build a larger network as well. So the first thing I encourage people to do is
to join as many as 50 groups that relate to what they do. So, to build that network, you want to find groups that have large numbers of members. Why? Because you'll have a greater effect and be able to reach into more organizations within your geography or within your area of interest in order to find opportunities. Gives you a huge advantage, but again, if they don't know you, why will they do anything for you? You may ask for help and you may get something that is at best, cursory or superficial. Hi, this person asked me to forward their profile to you. He's interested in an opportunity at your firm. I don't know anything about him. Caveat emptor. That doesn't really do a lot for you. Your note is in front of someone, but unless it's spectacular, you haven't gotten an endorsement from anyone. Joining groups gives you an opportunity to do things to create impressions with people. So that could be about writing about things that you do. And the LinkedIn publishing platform goes a long way toward helping people do that. After all, in the publishing platform, you can publish videos, podcasts, audio like this one. You can post articles that you've written and then distribute it to groups within that you're a member of. And by doing that, have an opportunity to create a great impression with people. After all, that's what you're trying to do when you have a large network. Do things that create impressions with people so that they learn about you and trust you through your intelligence, information offerings, things along those lines, so that at a later point, if you ask for help, they're more inclined to trust that you're a decent professional, competent at what you do, and here's the big thing, won't embarrass them. You see, when you're asking someone to refer you, the biggest reservation that they have is, are you someone who's going to embarrass them in front of the person that they're introducing you to? And thus, is this going to come back to haunt them at a later time? Are they going to wind up not being trusted because of you? Conversely, if you do a great job, even if they don't hire you, the hiring manager, the person's colleague or friend, suddenly feels as though this person understands what they look for and trusts them. So you're always looking to avoid the former and to go for the latter. And to create that level of trust is really what the big network is all about. Because again, why should someone help you just because you're connected with them on LinkedIn? Especially when they take the risk of being embarrassed by you. And at the end of the day, you take no risk. You're just trying to get in front of someone who's got a job. And from their vantage point, from the hiring person's vantage point, they may lose trust in that other person. So recognizing that, you have to go into that big network to do things to create favorable impressions, to do things that foster trust, that create the impression that you're competent and worth referring, that they can trust you to do a great job. Now again, you're going to do this with your small network, but you want to build up your network. And by going into large groups, by doing writing using the LinkedIn publishing platform, doing things that market those publications into the broadest possible space, which can use Facebook, it can use Twitter, and a whole host of other locations. You're going to be doing things that create the impression that you're trustworthy and worth helping. Because at the end of the day, since recommendations and since your network is going to be such an enormous part of your job search, you have to do things that make that larger network and even your smaller network want to help you.
So that's today's show. I hope you found it helpful. And if you did, here are a few things I can do to help you with your job search beyond simply being your coach. First of all, I've got a new book out called The Right Answers to Tough Interview Questions. It is like a cookbook with answers to tons of interview questions that you're going to be asked on interviews. And if you pair it up with my other new book, The Ultimate Job Interview Framework, they are a terrific pair of books to help you with interviewing. In addition, I have a new service where you can practice mock interviews. If you go to thebiggameHunter.us/mock, I've got a service there, very inexpensive, like $99, where we have mock interviews set up. I'm going to be adding more to it very soon, but you can record your answers to them, and then I can critique them and help you perform better on them. You probably have noticed my show notes are pretty thorough with products and services that can help you with your search. And connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/thebiggamehunter. Lastly, my website has a ton of great information. That's thebiggamehunter.us. Now, if you're not ready to go there and go through the blog, put the address in your phone, thebiggamehunter.us, Jeff Altman. So this way, when you're ready to go, you have a way of getting back to my website. Hope you have a terrific day, and most importantly, be great!